Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Little Prince. We are here today with someone we've never talked to in the book world. And I have so many questions, and I'm ready to be educated. And I want to just say that even though we don't physically know each other, I feel like we're besties because
Oh, yeah.
she sent some of the best book recommendations my way. Okay, JV, would you like to introduce our guest today?
I would. Okay, so today we have Brittany McMunn, and she is the what's your title? CEO, founder, president of?
Uh, all the above et al. Is what it usually lands with. So I would say owner would probably be the
The
most
owner,
politically correct title. Yeah.
boss babe of Conquest Publishing. How do you feel about
Yeah.
boss babe? That's good?
I've heard a couple of those. Yep.
Yep. Yep. And we're so excited to have you today because, like
Thank
Tyler said, we
you.
haven't ever spoken to anyone. The closest I think we've gotten to like the publishing realm was speaking with an editor.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this is really exciting, and I welcome.
Thank you. I'm very
Thank,
excited.
thank you for taking the time. I know we wanted to speak with you a couple weeks ago, but then Tyler decided that her village needed to revert to the
Yep.
dark ages and see what it
Yeah.
was like before medicine and electricity. So
Yeah, my whole town was just like it's so funny because I live in a town of like 302 people, and everyone was just outside for a walk. No one cared. Everyone was just
That's
like, "Let's go do
funny.
stuff." We did the exact same thing after making our coffee with our camper stove, in our
I
kitchen,
love
which
it.
was
It's probably the
yeah.
best coffee
Yeah.
you've ever had, honestly.
Yeah, it was actually really good.
Yes.
Um, okay, so, man, JV, do you wanna start us off?
well,
Like, I know
yeah,
you
I
got
oh,
go ahead.
so what I really want to talk to you about is kind of your origin story because I know you gave us a,
Yeah.
a bio because you started in healthcare,
Yes. I'm
Mhm.
actually still
but
there.
then
Yeah.
you're still in healthcare
Mhm.
and you're
Yep.
just, for pleasure running a publishing company.
I wouldn't say it's for pleasure of running. Um, I think like most everybody else's journey, COVID really prompted a lot of passion projects for a lot of people.
Yes, did
So,
for me.
yeah. So I've been in healthcare since I was 18. I don't know much of anything
Wow.
else as far as a career goes. I started out very entry level, and through the years, I've kind of worked myself up through management. So in 2021, kind of at the height, I want to say probably of COVID at the time. I was getting my graduate degree in healthcare administration because, again, as an A type, overly ambitious individual who grew up in a very structured blue collar family, that is what you do. You go to school and you get degrees and you do what your parents didn't. So I
Mhm.
was in graduate school, very unhappy, kind of just in
Mm.
my career. I had always been a big reader. It is a very unhealthy obsession at this point. So I had actually started beta reading. I was just finding people that were making posts on Goodreads, and I was like, "Hey, I'll read it. I'll let you know what I think." I had been writing a few things, again, kind of growing up in the South. You're not showing a lot of emotion is not the general norm. You're told, sit down, be quiet, speak when spoken to, kind of mentality.
Hmm.
So writing was kind of my cathartic outlet.
Yeah, that
And
makes
so
sense.
I had been writing, kind of just journaling, and was doing some beta reading, and I was very unhappy in my career and didn't know if I wanted to do that forever. I had kind of hit a cap in kind of how far I could go without making a decision.
Yeah.
So it was actually my husband's prompting to say, like, well, why don't you just write your own book? Like you read everybody else's and you have all these thoughts, just write your own book. I was like, well, that's a great idea. So I sat down and I looked at a blank sheet of paper for I couldn't tell you how long. I wrote all these things. I wrote like different, I guess, vignettes, different scenes. They never made it past like chapter 4. Like I never got further than kind of that opening exposition. And I was like, you know what? I'm also very impulsive, by the way. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to change my graduate degree. So on a whim, on like a Friday afternoon, I emailed my advisor and was like, hey, they have an MFA here at SNHU. I just want to switch over to that. And
I love
and
that.
she was kind of like, "Are you sure?" I mean, I was already a year and a half in to this
Wow.
Was this an online program that you were
hmm
doing?
It was an online
Oh,
program.
nice.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I was like, you know what? Well, and when I first went to college to get my undergraduate, I actually went pre-med. So I was destined to kind of wanting to go to medical school. Things in life happen. So I decided to stay close to home. I bounced around for different undergraduate degrees for years and finally just settled on communications because I had enough electives at that point I could finish it in a year and I needed to work. So I didn't have time to do all of these different research programs and all these other things that I enjoyed. So
Yep.
undergraduate degree in communications, made the switch on a Friday afternoon to an MFA and never looked back really.
Good for
Um,
you. That is
Wow.
incredible.
so the program was wonderful. Absolutely loved it. It definitely gave me what I was looking for as far as structuring a story goes. But I also really delved into the world of what this literary industry is and what it is not. And so, getting into that program, I definitely found that I had a very articulate passion for editing. So, I, again, on a whim, um, built a business plan for an editing LLC and
Nice.
kind of pulled in some of my critique partners that I had made, some friends that I had made through the program. And of course, everybody, again, going through that program, you go through editing courses and all these other things. So I was like, you know what? I love this. Like, I just want to do this. And so I built this LLC, started freelance editing, which is how I met Abigail Wild, who was the owner of Wild Ink Publishing. She had just opened kind of this publishing company as a passion project. She's a graphic designer by trade. Had some friends that were having trouble finding just good, decent people in the industry to trust to publish their books. So she
Mhm.
was like, I emailed her a couple times, cold emailed her, didn't hear back, sent another one a few months later. And she was like, I would love to have you, but I can't pay you. You know, as it's a new company, especially in publishing, payments are so delayed from when books are actually put out on the shelf. She said, I can't pay you right now. I was like, I don't care. I mean, I have a 9 to 5. Like, I just need a portfolio. So it kind of worked
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
The experience. Yeah. It's like a
Yes.
volunteer
Yeah.
internship position, kind of.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
and I learned a whole lot. You know, I would
I
use kind
bet.
of the real world experience from editing for actual authors, getting to apply that through like this graduate program, and it all just really clicked. So, as I was going through this program, I was editing in the evenings, working my 9 to 5. I have 2 girls, so we were doing the mom wife thing at
Boss babe.
home. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
and
Boss babe, yeah.
and I loved it. Well,
Yeah.
as I continued to write, I noticed the things that I was writing definitely did not fit the mold that this traditional space has built. So I write very like trauma riddled characters. They, you know,
A girl of my own heart.
as someone who grew up in a very blue collar household, parents were married their entire lives. I don't know where the trauma comes from, but it just makes sense. I'm very empathetic.
Mhm.
I feed off everyone's emotions. So kind of like the darkness of the world around us kind of feeds that a little bit for me.
Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
write these very like trauma riddled characters that I just kind of embody with my own, emotions. And well, in the romance space, my romances don't always end very happily. Either people find out things about themselves that they don't love come the end of it, and that didn't really fit the mold that was romance in this traditional
Mhm.
world. So, in the graduate program, you were fit into 4 categories. You were either speculative fiction, romance, young adult, or contemporary. So I was like, well, apparently it's not romance. Um, I'm also, again, Southern Baptist raised, born and bred. There's a lot of like religious trauma elements in my stories. And so I was like, well, it doesn't really fit contemporary. It doesn't really fit spec fic. I don't know where the hell this thing fits. So I
Mhm.
ended up, um, I went romance because, again, that was like a core component of the story, even though it didn't fit kind of that happily ever after thing that you have to have. And my professors really had a hard time with that. They're like, you can't write this. This is not. romance, and I was like, the fuck it
But
ain't.
it is.
I know. I was like, you are not going to tell me that this is not what this is. And so my Taurus really came out. I'm very stubborn, by the way.
I love that.
So I
Love
was
it.
like, well, I don't agree with you. And um, I ended up Melissa Marr, who has been a big influence on me. She was actually one of my professors, and she was like, "Girl, I hear you. I've been in this industry for a long time." She was like, "Drop your characters a couple years and come over to young adult." So that's what I did. I kind of re-tiered the story a little bit. Again, I've never finished it. I think you had to have 55,000 words as kind of the requirement to graduate. So I hit my 60,000 and I've set it to the side and haven't touched it again. But I
Mhm.
think what
Wow.
it showed me was I was not the only one. So being in this space, you find a lot of authors that are trying to self-publish or trying to find kind of the bucket that their story fits in so they can be accepted and kind of move forward with their career path as a writer. And it's very hard. I mean, there's no bucket that everything is going to fit in. Everything is very customized to people's own experiences and own creativity. And at this point, I had been editing for a couple of years, and I was kind of like, I feel like I've hit the cap on this editing thing, on the things that I can learn. I'd done some conferences, I'd done some speaking engagements, and it's like, I feel like there's a need here. And so I sat down and I was like, well, I can either go the literary agent route and help these people, help these authors find a space where they fit or a home for the things that are just an extension of themselves ultimately. Or I could create a space and provide them just support through the entire process. So I ended up putting a DBA on my editing LLC and created Conquest. So that's kind of how we came to be. Is there was no other place for stories that I loved, and even the ones that I wrote myself. And so I wanted to create kind of a safe haven for that. Um,
I love that.
I also found that there's not a lot of authenticity in this industry. As creative as people are and the things that they write, once you get into like the actual business aspect of it, you lose a whole lot of authenticity, credibility in people, and there was just a lot of negativity in that space too. And I felt like there needed to be some safety created. So again, that was kind of a platform for Conquest when it really opened doors back in 2023.
That is so I
Wow.
was reading your bio to Tyler, and like when you
Yeah.
got to the end when you're talking about that Conquest is your place where you could take the kernel of passion within an author and give it a voice. I was like
Yeah.
I feel like you feel so seen right
I feel
now.
very seen as an indie author, right?
Yeah.
Who
Writes trauma romance.
very deeply traumatic
Mhm.
romances that don't fit that you have to be within 90,000 words because
Mhm.
I want people to feel what my characters are feeling.
Yes.
So my
Mhm.
stories are longer. And I was like, there's no way I could get picked up by a traditional publisher without the publisher saying or the editor saying, you're going to have to cut this in half. And I'm like, if I
Yeah.
cut this in half, I lose so much of the depth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and you don't always fit a particular mold. And if you fit a
Right.
mold, then readers are going to pick it up and they're like, this is nothing new. I've read this
Mhm.
50 million
Yes.
other ways.
Well, and you hear that now, like even in fantasy, because right now the whole
Yeah.
romantasy sphere is very
Yeah.
big, and it has been for a few years. And
Yes.
people will tell you that even in fantasy, it's like, oh my God, it's another chosen one or another prophecy, or I've read
Yep.
this thing 17 times, but the characters just have different names. And
Yep.
it's
Yeah,
because,
trials.
yes.
Every book has frickin' trials.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to leverage what has worked well. But I think
Right.
what
Mhm.
the industry doesn't realize is people are very organic. They're very
Yeah.
malleable and they're shaped by the experiences around them. So
Yes.
whether it be the world around them, the people they surround themselves with, stories have to meet readers where they are. And
Yes.
so I think when you take
Mhm.
away that authentic aspect of what these stories are at their core, and you try to build them into something else that may have just worked a couple years ago, it's not going to hit the same way. People are not the
Yeah.
same they were 2 years ago. Hell, they're not the same they
Yeah.
were 2 months ago. So
Very true.
It's so
I think
true.
stories just have to be allowed to mold as their readers mold.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I so agree with all of that. So how do you find your talent? So, because I traditional publishers, right? Like writers have to be agented, and then there's a whole
Yep.
process. How does that work with Conquest, for example?
So in the beginning, again, I did a lot of things well. I did a whole lot more things wrong. Um, I really just threw the spaghetti at the fridge and just waited to see which noodles didn't fall. Um, and
Sure.
so in the beginning, I went most like everybody else does in a publishing space. You just open the door for queries. We went out
Yeah.
on Query Manager, opened them up,
Yeah.
put it out on socials. Holy hell, the floodgates. I had to
I
close
bet.
them
Mhm.
very quickly because I couldn't get through all of them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure these authors thought I was freaking nuts because one, I didn't read their fulls. I didn't read their full manuscripts. I didn't need to. So to me, what I was looking for was you can teach a lot of things. You can teach somebody how to craft a story, how to move elements around so it makes sense and aids in your pacing. You can't you can teach them writing technique, but that takes a little longer. So
Mhm.
really what I was looking for is what is your technique? Like are you writing with fluid prose? Are you writing very sensory driven narratives? Like can I read the first 3 pages of your book and be immersed immediately in your story to know what your characters feel, what they smell, what they see, their emotional tether to the things going on around them? Those are things that it was going to if it wasn't there organically, it was going to take time to build that, and that just comes with experience. Not that it can't be there, but if you're looking to move very quickly through this publishing pathway and have a book published from editing to launch within 9 to 10 months is usually what we aim for. Um, it's going to have to be there organically. So, one, I would read their synopsis. I wanted to know if you had to fit your story for me in 200 words, what are the things that you're going to put in that 200 words? So to me, that said a whole lot of what you want your story to convey. So if you didn't have me in those 200 words, I would move on. If you had me and I could read your first, handful of pages, and I was immediately wondering, oh, that's interesting, or oh, who is this person? Because I really like that. Um, I would keep
Mhm.
on. But then I would read, the first 3 to 5 pages, and then I would actually skip down to probably the last 100 because people tend to really polish those first few chapters. So I would actually move on down to probably the last 50 pages or so and read it. And if it was symbiotic, if it flowed very similarly to how your first few chapters were, I had a pretty good indication your whole book was going to be that way. But if your writing technique, if your voice, if your sentence structure was very different than it was in the beginning, it's probably going to take some work
Yeah.
to get that story where it needed to be. So, in the very beginning, those were the things I looked at predominantly. Again, the blurb or the query that you sent, the first few pages, and your first last pages. But that was really step one. The thing, again, for me, the story is just a small component of an author.
Yeah.
And my authors will tell you now, I'm sure they get sick and tired of hearing me say it to them, but they are a business. Like as an author, you are an
Mhm.
entity. So it's not me just signing a story, it's me collaborating with a business, is kind of my viewpoint of this industry from a publishing perspective. So I would actually set up an interview call with the author. I wanted to know like what they're passionate about. Where do you want this story to fit? Like what are your long-term goals? Just how are you as a person? Um, we've made some smart choices in those regards. I've made some not so great choices in those regards, but I feel like the success of this company has been built upon just the true quality of the humans that write for Conquest. And I'm sure you saw recently with Kate and Jess, like they are just beautiful people. And
Yeah, they're
Mhm.
great.
that is truly what
Yeah.
Conquest is. It's just full of beautiful people who are very passionate about the things that they write, and they're not one trick ponies. And that's another thing I really wanted to keep my eye out for. I know they say, like, don't come into a query and say it's part of a series or it's a 7-book story. For me, I want to know. Because
Mhm.
not only does it help me know how to market you, it lets me know, for one, you're not just going to be a one and done. You're not going to write one book and hang it up and never do it again. But two, again, you have that longevity of wanting to continue to provide content. Um, and crazy enough, this is not a get rich quick business. Um, you don't,
You don't say.
no, you don't earn out on the first book or even the first 3 to 4. So for,
Brittany.
I know, girl, tell me about it. Believe me, I'm here with you. So as a publisher, you assume that risk, the financial
Yeah.
risk of whether a book succeeds or not. So,
Yeah.
and again, nobody wants to hear from me how great a book is. They know I love it or I wouldn't have signed it. They want to know from the author and the readers how great that book is. I can't go
Yeah.
out and make people read your book. As an author,
Yeah.
you have to do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from you and the people that have enjoyed your story and what they, again, authentically feel about it.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
we opened queries. I closed them very quickly, and we had over 100 within just a couple of weeks. And I was like, "Oh,
Wow.
we got to close that." Um, I went initially. Again, I'm a big so in my healthcare career, I'm a consultant. I'm a project manager, so I bring a lot of that into this company.
Yeah.
And I planned out our first year of publications. So I sat down to say, okay, it will take us on average, I don't know, 8 to 10 weeks for developmental edits to include revisions, another 4 to 5 to do line copy edits. You're looking at another 4 for proofreading, give you about 8 to 10 weeks to load it to Ingram, get author proof. So, like, I did this whole calculation to say if
Mm-hmm.
we start editing on this day, you can be expected to launch your book on this day. So, I took the launch date
Mhm.
and kind of calculated it backward. So we planned launches. I think we did 1 to 2 a month that first year for that first 2025 12 months. There were some that we kind of baked in a little bit and did maybe 2 a month or moved some things around and shifted. It was
Mhm.
sustainable. Um, so then for 2026, we are doing 2 a month. So 2 releases a month. And again, most of these authors are ones that we've already published their first book. So
Mhm.
again, knowing they have a 4 to 5 book series, those are planned out in advance in 6-month intervals. So they know as authors, okay, I'm releasing this book in April. I have to finish writing book 2 by June. Edits will start in August. They can also plan their times. Because again, for us authors, and I'm sure you can relate, this is not our full time job. Um, we have
Mhm.
careers, we have families, we have other things that we have to plan around. So
Yeah.
giving them some type of structure has been something we've really
Yeah.
aimed for too.
Yeah, that is really helpful. I mean, I do the same thing just, for myself. I have to figure out when can I realistically be expected to have my manuscript done?
Yes.
How soon can I get in with an editor, right? Because they're
Mhm.
busy as well. So,
Yes.
and I usually try to hit my editor up when I feel like I'm at a good point in my manuscript.
Mhm.
I don't think I would be comfortable telling her, "Hey, I'm going to start writing this book. When's your next available?" Right? Because
Yeah.
I want to make sure my story is solid
Yeah.
before I move towards publication. I don't ever want to put out a subpar product, something that is not my soul.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
then, yeah, just kind of reverse engineer it, see how long
Mhm.
is it going to take for dev edits and then my revisions and then line edits and my
Yep.
revisions and then proof and
Yes.
all of that. So much editing.
And then removing extra paragraphs from the
Ugh, my
Atticus
formatting
and
program is driving me bonkers. So do you have a whole team then of editors that you work with and formatting and cover designers and all of that?
It's funny you asked that. So in the beginning, again, I threw everything at the wall. I didn't
Sure.
know. Thank God for my authors being as beautiful as they are, because they have put up with me and this company just through growth, right?
Sure.
Things just didn't work well. Things worked really well. They would go out and research and say, hey, I found this. You want to try it? And it's like, hell yeah, I want to try it. And if it worked, amazing. So it's definitely
Nice.
been very much a collaborative feat this last year.
That's the best. Yeah.
So in the beginning, I did not have, it was me, just me,
You did it all.
did it all.
Oh
The
my
only thing,
God.
I am not a designer in any shape or form. So, however, if you remember Abby from Wild Ink, she is a designer. She is not an
Right.
editor. She's dyslexic. She will tell you, do not do not let me edit a book. So we developed a very quid pro quo relationship very quickly. So it was
Oh,
like,
nice.
hey, if you create my covers, I will edit your books. And we had kept that relationship. We still have it. Now we're
Wow.
almost 5 years in. She still creates the majority of our covers. I was
Oh,
doing all of
wow.
the
Is
editing.
she the one who did Courtesan's Eye?
She is not. So,
Oh.
fun fact. Coming out of 2025, looking at finances, I was like, oh shit, I spent a whole lot more money than I had coming in. But as a new business, it was almost expected. You
Sure,
have to buy
absolutely. It's that
software. Yeah,
investment. Yep.
you have to buy
Yep.
software. If you didn't start editing your first book until February of that year, it wasn't even going to come out until the end of the year. And then you have to wait another
Yeah.
90 days to start receiving royalties. So
Yep.
I knew going in there was going to be some lag.
Yes.
So I was willing and prepared to have kind of some negative equity going into this. So moving into 2025, we really started building momentum, or our authors really started building momentum in their sales. So we have been able to, probably over the last, I want to say 3 to 4 months, maybe 5 months, building what I've called our contractor pool.
Nice.
So I put some things out on social media, not all of our socials, because I learned my lesson with Query Manager from 2023. I put out some forms for if you're a freelance editor, graphic designer, any type of bookish related content, services, small business, submit an interest form. So I vetted every editor myself. And what
That's
I've done
awesome.
is I have built a Slack where all of our freelance contractors will receive project updates or open project posts. So I have worked with them individually and developed very adequate comparable rates. Something that Conquest, again, they're very low, but something Conquest can financially support, and that the editor is then okay to assume. Editors are expensive. As an editor myself, it costs thousands of dollars to edit a book.
Brittany, I mean, I'm very, very happy with my editor, but she's definitely on the pricier side. I mean, I think
Yes.
I use her company for all, and for all 3 of my books, I've used her so far because I trust her. She's really good at it.
Yes.
But I spend about 10 grand each book for
Yep. Easily.
dev, line, and proof.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Easily.
so earning that out is, I mean, as a little indie, like near impossible.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And so what we have done is I do a front load. So I sat down and I
Yeah.
looked at our finances and I was like, okay, per book, I know now that I have a year in kind of what our norm is for
Yeah.
kind of a new indie, no kind of platform, debut author. I kind of know going into a launch day what they're going to get as far as sales. So I
Yes.
can front load my editors with a flat rate. So once the manuscript's edited, they send it back. I go ahead and pay them a flat rate immediately.
Oh, wow. That's
And then
really
what we
nice.
do is they will then receive a monthly payment once the book sells. So it's kind of like a royalty share
Yeah.
model, kind of
Mm.
what you would do with a narrator. You kind of front load that payment and then you pay a monthly royalty split on sales. Um,
Oh, that's nice.
and again, I completely understand that editors are not going to get paid fully what they're worth in that model. A good editor is absolutely priceless. But again, you find those editors that are just really passionate about it or that just really love it, and they're willing to take on 1 to 2 of these projects a month at the lower rate. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
again, these
Well,
projects
it's
are
a guaranteed payment. I
yes,
mean,
yeah, it's a
right?
guaranteed flat rate.
Yeah.
Um, and then again, we do 3-term contracts, so they'll receive a portion of these sales for the next 3 years.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Yeah.
until they come and tell me like, hey, you can cut this contract. Well, I'm good from here.
Yeah.
Until then, they'll receive payments every month from me. Um, and
Wow.
again, financially, it's been something that Conquest can sustain, and it helps open the
Nice.
door for higher quality. So,
Absolutely.
we have had some authors, so Kate and Jess and Cord and Zai for one, when they had their author interview to sign with us, they were very open to say, "Hey, I really love this cover artist. Are you opposed to letting us just contract them? Just outside of this
Mm.
contract?" I was like, "Absolutely not. Like, if that's something you want and you love it for this story, you do you. You let me know what you need from me." And so there were a
I
couple
love
of things
that.
they needed from me, like our logo
Okay.
and kind of the specs for the book once it was formatted, those sorts of things. But I've had some authors that found great artists online that they want to front the cost for
Mhm.
that and they want to contract that outside of their publishing agreement. I'm completely fine with that.
See, I
So,
love that because I from the people that Tyler and I have had a chance to interview, some of them said, they've had some experiences within the traditional space, and they
hmm
would say, so for my cover, they only gave me 3 options, and I told them specifically any one but this one, and then that is the one that got chosen. And I don't know, because
Yeah.
that to me it's like you're dressing my baby in something I don't want you to dress my baby in.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I will. So before, and again, I've kind of
Sorry,
learned
my
my
cat
lesson on
is
this too. Oh no, you're fine. I had a 12-year-old like standing here staring at me. She like peeked her head up over the computer. Um, yeah, I've learned the hard way too. Authors want to come to an indie space for one because they're a little bit more flexible on content. But then two, they have a little bit more creative control. And I've had authors that have published with the Big Five. I have authors that are debuted that have just written a story because they had this character living in their head and they needed to put it on paper and now they don't know what to do with it. We have the wide range at Conquest.
Mhm.
Um, and every author will receive kind of a questionnaire before we ever get into cover and formatting. I do make sure, however, that editing is done. So that's one thing that in the beginning I did not do. I now wish I had. Um, you can just incorporate a lot more. I'm very big on the Easter egg. I love a good Easter egg.
Me
Um,
too.
so all of our covers have a little something something built into them. Um,
Courtesan's Eye.
mhm. Yep.
Where's the Easter egg, Tyler?
Look at her looking.
She's staring.
Listen, I got 2.
I
I got
know.
2
You
copies.
keep rubbing
Mhm.
that in my face, friend.
Yep.
I know. Well, I know. I see the eye for
Yep.
sure. Is there a paper? Where's the paper from the first chapter? I wonder if
Oh,
that's in it.
this is so good.
Oh,
I love Easter eggs too.
Yeah. So
I
you see the
try to plant them
flower.
in all my stories.
You see
yeah.
the flower in the front on the vase.
Y-
Yes.
yeah.
It's the same. It's a lily. So it's the Winter Lily
Yeah.
series. Also
Little
it's
Lily.
also the
Yeah.
same flower that's used on the chapter heading images. So we put
Yes.
so
Okay.
they're not always like huge, big, like, oh my God, that's what that is. Sometimes they're very subtle, but I
Yeah.
always love just to have a little something something.
That is
Yeah. Like
so
right here.
good.
Yep,
There, chapter 5 does have an ink pot.
it does. Yeah.
Mm.
Is that
Not
an Easter
spoiling
egg too?
anything.
So the chapter, every book's a little different. So the little ink pot really represents that character's point of view. So instead of
Oh,
having
Mhm.
the,
nice.
because sometimes you have those dual point of view stories that each chapter will have the
Yeah.
character's name. With
Yes.
this one, we forewent putting the character's name and put a little
I
image
just noticed
that
that
represented them.
because, yeah, that makes
Oh,
sense.
I
Yep.
love that so much.
So the little ink,
Yeah, that's actually so
yeah.
smart.
So Tala was a writer. He was a poet,
Mhm.
and so the ink pot helps represent him.
Oh
So
my
sorry.
goodness,
My
what
cats
was
are, I don't know what's going on.
Hello.
It's the kitten.
And
And
then
Randy, oh my gosh, so sorry.
no, you're fine. And then Aylis was part of the eye, and so the
The
eye
eye, yeah.
represents his point of view chapters. And
That's really cool. I didn't pick that
yep.
up.
So
Oh,
there's
I
always
love
like
that.
little
But
creative.
I have a bad thing where sometimes I just don't even read the chapter heading. And then I'm like,
She did admit to
what is
that
happening
publicly.
here? I did. I admitted
Publicly.
it a couple podcasts ago. That it's just one of those things that like I'm in a flow
Mhm.
and I feel like sometimes a chapter heading like this is numeric, right? JV's is date and time, right?
No,
Or
name and date.
So name and
I
date.
do it like
So
a
like
calendar.
that doesn't break the flow as much, but sometimes when it's like the title or like an Easter egg of what's going on in that chapter, it breaks my flow. So I just keep going to the small words. I don't know. It's my
All
brain.
words. Yeah, we have one. It's a paranormal romance. It's got demons
Ooh,
and stuff in
fancy.
it. But
Yes.
one of the images on the chapter header pages, it's a little faint, but it's a dragon.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I
that's
see it.
cool.
The
No,
main
that's
male
beautiful.
character has a tattoo of a three-headed dragon on his back
I
that
love that
represents
so
his
much.
like demonic cast. So that was kind of
Mm,
built in.
That's cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that.
So we try to
All the
build in
little
the little
things
fun
though, right?
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the graphics too are just gorgeous.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
I
that
love
was
that.
again a learning curve. We started out using, again, I'm not a designer. Please just let me do the bare minimum when it comes to design work. But we started out using Atticus. It's kind of our
Yep.
book formatting software. Atticus can
Mhm.
kick rocks. I hate that software
Thank
with an
you.
absolute passion. It actually, what
Thank
I
you.
actually said was very much more vulgar, but I'm keeping that
Go
PG.
for
But
it. We're an open podcast.
is there even an alternative, Brittany? Because I know there's Vellum
Yes.
for Mac, but I'm an HP user and I use Atticus, and inevitably it fucks up some
Yes.
part of my formatting, and then I get my author copies, and I'm like, why did you repeat a paragraph? What is
Mhm.
this? How did
And the
that happen?
typos, the typos.
It like smushes words together.
Oh my God. I could burn it to the ground. I was so
dying.
pissed. And Abby will tell you the calls that I would call her in the middle of the night because I work, I don't sleep a whole lot. I would call her at like 1 a.m. and go, Abby, I'm going to burn this motherfucking good. Like it would just, I would be raging.
Yes.
So I do have a Mac. However, I use Vellum really more so just for the EPUBs.
Yeah.
It just does a really good job. Now, I have purchased the extension for Vellum for the print. So if we're not doing anything like I had a one author, again, I send them out kind of a questionnaire before we do cover and formatting. So if they want anything incorporated, anything I can kind of play with, I have that going into it. One of my authors, so we're doing her cover right now, she put in in her book formatting section, nothing fancy. Got it. So Vellum it is. But for anything like creative wise, like with the dragon or any type of full
Yes.
bleed, I have been using Affinity Publisher. Now,
Affinity Publisher.
I will say there was a little bit of a learning curve because again, I'm not a designer. It's very similar to Adobe, but without the
Mhm.
price tag, which is really nice.
Oh.
It's like 60 or I think 75 US dollars. So very cost worthy. And fun fact, so Courtesan's Eye I actually did in Word, and
Whoa.
I will never again. There was about 3 or 4 books we had to do in Word because I was in between setting
Wow.
fire to Atticus and finding a comparable program. I had finally just been like, I'm not using it. I will refuse, because if I get another reviewer coming and saying, oh my God, there's a slew of typos, I'm going to lose my medulla. Like, I will have a nervous breakdown. So I went to Word, and again, thank God for my authors because they were so kind. They're like, Brittany, this is not centered, or that looks stretched, or Kate and Jess would be like, that title's not the same font as chapters 4 through 12. And I would just be like, I'm so sorry. But
Yeah,
Affinity has been wonderful. You set your master pages and it just imports your book.
it does it.
It's amazing.
I'll
It
have
is
to look into
wonderful.
I
that.
wonder if it has a free trial.
They do. They do.
Yeah, because
Perfect.
I'm about right there with Atticus. I'm just
I will never go
and-
back. Never.
How are they so? Maybe it's because the market is just so limited. Maybe somebody needs to fill that
It's
hole
very
and come
limited.
up with
There
a
are,
good
is.
product
from what I
for
understand,
HP.
yeah, there's very few options, and Atticus, yes, every time. And my books are
Mhm.
chonky. They're like
Yeah.
500, 600 page books, and that.
Yeah. And
I
you're
got
very
triggered, Brittany.
Oh yeah. And you're very limited on what you can control in Atticus.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
your font
Mhm.
size, or where certain like
Yes.
chapter heading images are going, very limited.
Yes.
And it doesn't like full bleeds. So if you're doing any type
No.
of full bleed, it's just gonna act like a pissy little shit. Like it will just take a dump on everything. And telling it,
Yes.
me
That's so funny.
me having to go back and tell an author, sorry, Jean, I can't use that image. They're gonna be like, well, I can find someone who can. I don't want to have to
Yeah.
deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I'm just 100% a people pleaser, but to me, if there's a will, there's a way, and
Yes.
I will
Mhm.
find a way. And so
Yep.
right now, publisher has been chef's kiss. It's been wonderful. Again, a little bit of a learning curve. I did purchase a like $25 template off Etsy just so I could figure out like how to set the text boxes and kind of what filters to use where, because it does use layers. Again, I'm not a designer. So I started kind of with that purchase template, and I've just made modifications to it through
Interesting.
time. So we are there, baby. We are running. But yeah, we'll definitely use vellum if there's not any type of like heavy artistry or any of that. So those have been the
Interesting. I
two
love
that
that.
we use for those.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's so you use mostly freelancers then to help
Mhm.
you with editing and all of that thing. How about
Yes.
cover designing? You still have that quid pro quo kind of relationship
Mhm.
with Abby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Abby is not an illustrator. So
Yeah.
depending on what the author comes back with on their questionnaire, if they want something that's like fully illustrated, or, romance is really big right now in kind of this, like
Yeah, the
this type
cartoony
of, the
style.
Yeah.
cartoony kind of style. Yeah.
Canva style
Yeah,
template.
that is
Yeah.
not Abby's medium. She is very much kind of stock
Mm.
imagery,
Yeah.
using the
Mm.
photos. So if the author comes back and they're like, hey, I want a full body illustrated, da 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 da, I know I'm not even sending that to Abby. She will laugh at me and go, are you serious? So that is when I then post it in our Slack. I'll usually post it with the questionnaire feedback, kind of the author's comps, because I do ask them to give me kind of comp titles that aesthetically wise are kind of fitting what they're looking for, color scheme, certain artistry. I've given them certain links where they can look through different cover types, cover mediums, and they'll kind of pick and choose, if they want like a gothic theme or kind of what feel they're looking for. I'll put that in our Slack. And then if the cover designer has a affinity for that and they want to take on that project, they just comment on it. I'll send them a contract and then an introductory email with the author. They can communicate kind of outside of myself. They have due dates.
Oh, good.
Um,
Nice.
Now, if it comes down to like a couple weeks before the due date, I hadn't heard anything. Again, they're more than likely communicating just outside of me, which is
Mhm.
totally fine. But I'll kind of check in a couple weeks before it's due and be like, hey, how's it going? You need anything? Do we need to shift our due dates? I do build in cushion for all of our due dates. Again, life happens. Things come
Interesting.
unexpectedly. I don't
Sure.
want, having to go back to 1800 because we have no power to be a reason that we have to push a
Yeah.
launch date. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I definitely build in kind of cushion. So
Yeah.
if we need to shift it a couple weeks, that is fine. It's not going to hurt launch. They can just let me know and I'll change the due dates on everything.
That's cool. How
Yeah.
about
That's amazing.
oh, Tyler, I feel like I'm taking over. Do you have any questions?
Honestly, no, I'm just like I'm seeing so much of myself in you actually. I work in healthcare as
Oh,
well,
okay.
in Canada here. I am not project management by title, but damn near by the
Yeah.
workload. And I'm getting to a point, I'm hitting my 10 years in November, and I'm just like I'm not happy where I
Yep.
am. I actually kind of have never been. I've just IT comes so easy.
Yeah.
It always has. So I'm just at a comfortable place where I've had many offers to move up, and I'm like, no, thank you,
Mhm.
because I could do my job with my eyes closed
Yep.
and I can multitask. Anybody who's listening, you did not hear this, but I can make stuff for my shop while I'm listening to calls for quality
Yeah.
audits and stuff like that. So like there's definitely, and especially with me starting my small business this last week, there's definitely a pull creative wise to not be in the healthcare, especially like
Yep.
ours is going so political, which we're not going to get into, but
Yes.
like it's just it's not a fun place to
Mm-mm.
be anymore. And I find so much more joy in the creative and doing stuff for myself
Yes.
and stuff like that. So I'm just like really seeing myself in you, and I'm just inspired. I want to just like email in and be like, I'm not coming in tomorrow or actually ever again. Um,
Yep.
which financially we can manage, but I mean, it is nice having the paycheck. Healthcare does
Mhm.
pay very well.
Yep.
So it is difficult to just close it off, but it's definitely in my near future to just I don't know. Either have another kid and never work again or, dive headfirst into this business and just see where it takes me. But yeah, it's so interesting to sit down. When she was reading your bio, I was like, I'm sorry, are we the same person? Like, this is so
Yeah.
crazy. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's proof that you
You
can.
can. You just have to set those
Yeah.
boundaries. And I think for me, it
Mm-hmm.
came down to just mental health. Like I was very depressed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I don't know. There's just a lot going on there for me mentally. And that bleeds into my family. Like it bled into my marriage. It
Mm-hmm.
bled into how I was acting as a mother. And I just wasn't happy with myself and the decisions I was
And
making.
working from home,
Yes,
there's no break
yes,
from
yep,
anything.
I'm fully remote.
So
At the
yeah.
time though, I wasn't. I was managing
Mm.
a very hefty service line for a nonprofit healthcare organization at the time, and I had to be on the floor 100% of the time. I was traveling, I was working 18-hour days.
Wow.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and so I finally just had to make the choice. Is it me and my family or is it this career? And
And it's always your family.
always.
Honestly, like, I'm a mom to an
Yeah.
18-month-old, and I'm full-time daycare. I work
Yeah.
full-time, doing the side business, doing all this stuff, right? So, like, yeah, it plays a role, especially when you can't disconnect
Yes.
from your work life and your regular everyday life.
Um,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
I was
And it definitely mental health wise, the creativity, like, I don't know if you find the same, but, like, when you break off from that 9 to 5 and you step into Conquest, there's probably a total mental shift. You're like, "I'm in my
100%.
happy place.
Yes.
I am in my bubble. I love being here." And then you're like, "Fuck, now I gotta go to work tomorrow. Like, this
I
sucks."
know, which thankfully the my 9 to 5, my schedule is very flexible. So, again, hospital
That's good.
acquisitions and kind of the finance aspect is really what I'm in now, and it's very client driven. So my schedule is based on my client's need. So some of it they schedule, some of it I schedule. So I can be very conscious
Mhm.
about what calls are where. And if I have a day where my first call is not till like 9 o'clock, my girls go to school at 7, I'll come in and actually start my day with Conquest. Not that it's hectic. There's a million things going on. And if you look at my screen right now, there's a
Mhm.
little Microsoft Loop note up here that says shit to do. Like I will kind of run through my list, but it's an
I
enjoyable
love that.
chaos for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then I can kind of go into my workday a little bit more in a pleasant mindset. Um, or some
Yeah.
days I might take them to school at 7 and come home and sleep till 9, till my first call. Um,
I wish. I'm 7 to 3:15 Monday
yeah.
through Friday. And, like, I'm not gonna lie, anybody who's listening to this, you didn't hear this, I called in Thursday, Friday last week just 'cause I'm just so
Yeah.
tired, and I was like, I just need to not wake up to my alarm for the next
Yeah.
2 days and just be with my son and hang out and make bookmarks and do all the
Yeah.
things that I need to do to fill my cup because my cup is right at the dry.
Yeah. And I've told my leadership that before too. It's like, "Hey, I'm not gonna come in." I
Yeah.
told them on a Wednesday, "I'm gonna need off tomorrow and Friday." And they'll kinda ask me like, "Is everything
Mhm.
okay?" And I'm like, "It's either me take 48 hours of a mental health break or I'm going to have a heart attack." Like, I'm
Yeah.
at my
Yep.
limit this week, and thankfully, I have
Yep.
wonderful leadership. It's a wonderful company. So
That's good.
thankfully, they're very understanding of that. Um, but yeah, I think just you can do it. Just set the boundaries of for me, I'm very cognizant again of my work life balance. I was not before
Mhm.
making the switch back in 2021. My work came home with me and I worked until my eyes could not stay open any longer. And
Mhm.
at now at 5 o'clock, it's cut off. Like I will step away from that desk, walk to my kitchen table and sit back down. But
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but it's balancing that. It's knowing
Mhm.
turning off that switch that is corporate and walking and turning on the switch that is creative and having a little bit of just breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
It's more
Yeah.
authentically me than the corporate, and I can just relax a little bit coming into Conquest, and I just
Mhm.
need that.
Yep. I feel that.
Yeah.
That's so cool talking to you and just, like,
Thanks.
hearing your story and all that stuff. I don't really have any questions, honestly, like, I'm just enjoying the education, I guess. JB, do you have any
No,
questions?
I'm just listening because I feel that in my soul. I
Yeah.
think COVID shifted a lot of people's perspectives. And I also think that
Mhm.
as women, we get to a certain age and we're
Yes.
like, what was this bullshit? What have
Yeah.
I been living? Right? So for me, it was 2020. My mom passed away. I was working. I'm an attorney in real life, quote unquote,
That's
and was in
interesting.
private practice.
Yeah.
And I had great ambitions. I wanted to be a litigator from a very young age. I wanted to be that badass in court
Yeah.
arguing, right? And I thought it was prestigious and all those things, and it was, but it also was draining on my life
Mhm.
force because I
Yeah.
worked constantly. I mean, weekends, sick days, there was no such thing as vacation because you'd still have to check and answer your emails. You'd still have to take those
Yep.
calls. And then my
Mhm.
mom, I'm originally from Germany, so my parents lived there. And my mom became very ill in 2020 and then was on life support. And so I managed to fly back to Germany to be with her on her last few days. My son was a year old. And so a 9-hour time difference between Germany and California, where I am. And my employer still expected me to be working at 3 a.m. because
Mhm.
that is what worked with California time zone
Yeah.
while my mom was literally dying. And
Mm.
then
Wow.
she passed away, and I got an email, "Oh, you can take the next, week off." Well, thank you so much. But then I came back, and I mean, just a bunch of things happened, and I was so, 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 so depressed. And that
Mhm.
is when I started picking up writing again. And when I made a change in not my career, I'm still an attorney, but I quit my job where I was. I went to work for a different company. It's a public agency now. So, and the work-life balance. I mean, I'm done at 5. I'm
Yeah.
done at 5. I come
You
Mhm.
home
have to
and I
be.
work on my books. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they, when I take a sick day or I'm taking a vacation day, they leave me alone. They respect that.
They leave me
And
alone.
it's so different, right? Because and
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
found joy again, and my writing and all that. I mean, that is, and my husband, we talked about this yesterday. My husband, because he sees as an indie how much of my work in that realm isn't just my writing, right? Which is what brings me
Yeah.
joy, but
Mhm.
all the other things, the marketing, the formatting, the
Yeah.
cover design, the blah, blah, blah. And he's like, babe, is it still bringing you joy? Because I don't want this to turn into a chore for you. And I'm like, no,
Mhm.
literally, even on the days that I'm stressed because Atticus is pissing me the fuck off,
Yeah.
I, if somebody told me tomorrow, quit being an attorney, write full time, in a heartbeat, I wouldn't even have to think about it. Wouldn't
Yep.
even have to think about it. So
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
Same.
just, everything you guys have been saying, I'm like, yeah, that resonates so deeply. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, it was less of what can this give me?
Yeah.
Because again, in a career in healthcare, it can be financially fulfilling. You make
Yeah.
good money if you're in
Mhm.
kind of the right pocket. So it was, I'm paying my bills, my girls have what they need. I am, I guess, corporate successful, but
Yeah.
that's not where my happiness was. My happiness was at
Yes.
home with my family and doing the things that they enjoyed. And what I was doing in my corporate life was not feeding that. So,
Mhm.
and again, my husband, we've been together since we were, 15, and we have literally grown up
Wow.
together. And he keeps me straight, and he'll tell me, again, I'm very prideful. I'm very stubborn, and so we had to grow through that. But I tell him all the time, like, I'm still prideful and stubborn, but I've grown to be codependent with him, and that's okay. I've had to learn that that's
Mhm.
perfectly okay.
Yep.
But he'll tell me, he's like, "Hey, you're too far in. Come back up. You're forgetting these things. Um, you're neglecting these things." And immediately it'll piss me off. It's like, whatever, you're just being an ass. Like, and then I'll go and sit down and I'm like, well, fuck, he's right. But I'm not going to tell him.
Mhm.
And so
Yep.
I've really had to be conscious of where I put my energy. And I think for me, just making that a conscious decision and not letting kind of the place that is this world dictate that for me. Um, it's amazing the things that it can change. And it's kind of like you said, Tyler. It's where do I want to be, like, mentally? For me, mentally, I
Mhm.
wanted to be happy. I wanted to be carefree, unanxious. And for me, that's at home in my pajamas, no bra, like my
Mhm.
hair in a messy bun,
No
Yes.
bra.
no bra, hair in a messy bun, on my couch with my dogs and my kids running around driving me batshit crazy. That's my happy. And again, I
Yep.
had to make conscious decisions to make that a priority. And you can do it.
Mhm.
You can absolutely do it. And, long-term goals, long term, for me, it will be publishing. Right now, it's just the corporate aspect of it, being in my, mid 30s. Financially, I need that corporate
Mhm.
job right now. Um,
Same.
long
Yep.
term, my husband's goal is to move up in his corporate career and have me quit, stay at home, and do this full time. And I just kind of hold on to that with a death grip that, in the next
Mhm.
5, 10 years, that may be a reality. Um, but until that time, I'm gonna whatever happens in that 9 to 5, it is not going to hinder what I'm about to do come 5 o'clock. If they're like, "Oh, your
Yep.
project's late," okay, I'll get to it tomorrow. Like, it's just
Mhm.
I can't stress over that anymore. And
I love that.
it's meant turning down promotions and turning down
Yep.
opportunities. And as someone as ambitious as I am, it was hard. But sitting in kind of my decision, I'm grateful that I did, because then I can have that balance. Um, and again, it's just better for everybody.
Totally. And promotions doesn't necessarily mean any more balance in your life. If
Yep.
anything, like I've watched people who are below me move up past me and then fuck off to a completely different area of AHS because, yeah, you're getting paid a couple bucks
Yeah.
more. You're also demanded in meetings. There's probably like 6 meetings a day you have to be a part
Mhm.
of. I've watched so many people just be like, I'm so stressed that I need to go somewhere completely different and completely get away from the IT state that they
Yeah.
were in. And that's why I was like, I've watched it happen so many times. Every single person who's moved up above me within like 6 to 8 months is off to another team. And that's why I'm like, I've been doing this job. Most people would say I'm sedentary. And I think that I would
Yeah.
agree to an extent because like I said, I can do my job with my eyes closed and I can do it from home. And I can do it while I'm running around chasing Daniel around the house and prepping dinner and like all that other stuff because I've been doing it for so long. And that's comfortable
Yeah.
for me. Plus my union renegotiates like every 4 years. So if I just wait it out, I get a raise every 4 years or so. So,
Yeah.
that's nice, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just for me it's worth the less pay.
Yeah.
And like you said, in healthcare, some pockets are very
Mhm.
profitable, right?
Yeah.
So, if you're and that's another thing where I'm like, if I quit my job, that's a lot of money that I'm just like saying goodbye to. That's a lot of
Mhm.
security that I'm saying goodbye
Yeah.
to. It's also the longest job I've ever had. I couldn't believe it when I got that email for 10 years. I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
"Oh,
Yeah.
what do you mean I wasted 10 years of my life here?"
I know. I get it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess my question, I do have a question actually. For y'all, I
Ooh.
know, right? I came prepared. So because you're both in different aspects, I feel like of like this literary bookish world that we're in.
Mhm.
What have been some of the things I guess that you've come across that you think like, oh, this if this was better, I would have a better outcome either with my writing or with my content. Um, or if
Ooh.
this aspect was done a little bit differently, um, I would have a better outcome or a better product for my writing or again, my content.
I don't know. I mean, for
Hmm.
me, marketing is always the most challenging for me because I truly believe in my books. I feel as though
And
built
everybody who's
I
read
have
them
Mhm.
believes in
built
your
a
books. You
good
have such an army
yeah, I
behind
have
you.
built a solid fan base
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
people who are like anything. I mean, those emails that I get are again soul sustaining. They're like anything you put out, I will read, which is incredible. But it's
Yeah.
just as an indie, I think it's so hard to break into that because you're doing it all and you're expected to do it all. But
Yeah.
I may not be like Tyler is really good at the content creation online. To me, that's a struggle.
Yeah.
Right. And so having somebody just figuring it out, knowing how to market and how to put it out there, that is like, because I can write the best freaking book in the world. If nobody hears about it, they're not going to read it.
Exactly.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
I don't know how to better market. So that for me is the
Okay.
biggest challenge. Everything else I can figure out. But that
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
ugh. How about you, Ty?
I'd have to echo it though, because marketing yourself as a product on,
Yeah.
on social media, I'm not an author, I'm not an editor, I'm not a company, I'm just Tyler, just a girl who likes to read books. And I find that even marketing, like you watch some people just blow up. And yeah, the algorithm, nobody really knows how it works as
Mhm.
much as I have a background in IT and coding and all of that stuff. Like you still don't know. Um, but also like the burnout. For me,
Yeah.
like it's I have so many things I'm juggling and I do it to myself. I'm a Virgo. I don't know if that rings true to any of you, but I take on all things.
Mhm.
So I've got not only this podcast, I have my small shop. I've got my YouTube channel for my budgeting and finance. I've got Instagrams. I've got so many other things that I'm just juggling all at the same time. And I find that things have to fall
Mhm.
off at some point. That I being consistent on my hello happy good morning is not who I am right now. And I used to post like 4 or 5 times a day sometimes. And it's just marketing yourself to bookish people is, like, such a weird thing, I
Yeah.
think, because I'm just a girl out here who likes to read and sometimes does book reviews and has fun content ideas, like, "Hit me with your best plot" was, like I'm still doing it, super fun,
Yeah.
I throw a dart
I
at a
love it.
dartboard, that number is the book I read. You know, it's coming up with those ideas, and I'm a over creative brain, I think, that's my
Yeah.
problem. My brain doesn't shut up. When my dog passed away a couple weeks
I
ago,
heard about that.
my
I'm
brain went
sorry.
into yeah. No, that's okay. She was 11 and she decided it was very much her decision. She stopped eating. She went through all the stages and then it was her time to go, which I respect, but I do not appreciate. Um
Yeah.
but um even through that grief, my brain went into hyperdrive, which is where this business came from. My brain went into the most creative it's ever been. And I think that it was what do you
A
call
coping
it? Like,
mechanism?
a coping
Yeah.
mechanism for
I think it is
sure. But
creative
I didn't
wise. No,
control
I
it.
think that
I couldn't
that's what it
control
is.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
again, after my mom passed away and during COVID and when the world was on fire, that like suddenly all the creative inspo. I think it is a coping mechanism. It's a way to
Yeah.
Yeah.
tap into something that brings you joy
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
such a dark
I
time.
don't know, I'm rambling on.
Yeah.
But I think I'd echo what she says is the marketing of who you are on social media.
Yeah.
And a lot of people love authenticity. Like that's how JV found me. She's like, this girl seems authentic because she's like in her pajamas talking about books, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
I don't
did
know.
love that.
There's just there's so
How
much
Yeah.
about you, Brittany?
that I'm putting on my own plate. Yeah, what about you?
I think for me, it is not necessarily the marketing aspect because a lot of that, again, is prompted by the authors. They're the ones that know the core of their content better than I ever could. I think more so
Mhm.
for me, it is for authors fully understanding what they are signing up for when they come into kind of an indie publishing relationship. Um, Again, a lot of authors have had really bad experiences with agents. They've had really bad experiences with other publishers, trad indie or otherwise. And they want,
Mhm.
you kind of have this mindset that when you come into this more indie space, you have a lot more creative control. And you do. You have tons more than you will probably ever have in a more traditional pathway. Um, but there are also some things, even from an indie perspective, we can't give 100% control to. So things
Sure.
such as, live feeds into your sales numbers. Like I would love to give you my Ingram sign on so you can look at your sales numbers, but there's also other authors in there and it's very proprietary information that I can't give you access
Mhm.
to. So, my authors get a monthly statement from me of all sales and revenue. Most of my corporate life is data driven. So I'm very savvy and like Excel and pivot tables and all these graphs and things. And, they get that from me. It's very easy to maintain now at this point, um, sales to payments, and they can kind of see that month over month. Um, they want to know what ARC readers have signed up. What have they said? Again, we go through Story Origin and Book Sirens. I can't give them the sign on information for that. I can only give them the information when they're asked for it. So there are just some things like that that I can't give them. Um, and,
Mhm.
coming into this indie space, when they sign with us, they're like, oh, I'm fully on board with that. I fully understand. And then they come into it and they're like, oh, I didn't realize this is how much creative control like I needed to have. And so then you're sitting here and, we've had some authors that have recently this year termed their contracts. And it's because it ain't that their experience was bad. They just didn't realize how much creative control they needed to have, like for their own
Mhm.
self security.
Mhm.
And again, they reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, I love this experience, but I really just want to do this on my own." 100% consider this a formal like termination. Um, but sometimes there's a cost aspect to that. These books have been edited sometimes, and we still have to pay those editors. And again, that's a cost
Mhm.
risk that we as ensemble
Yeah.
take. So I think for me, it's just having people just realize kind of what you're able to provide as an indie press and what you're not.
Yeah.
But I think also for me too, it's recognizing that, hey, maybe this indie press model is not what it needs to be anymore. You know, 10, 15 years
Mhm.
ago, this indie press model was, you couldn't get access to certain things like Atticus or Affinity and do book formatting yourself, or you didn't have Canva or these other deposit photos, repositories, and you couldn't make covers yourself 10 years ago. You can now. And so these authors
Mhm.
want to do all these things themselves, but there's certain, depending on the person, certain aspects or elements they can't do. And so coming into 2026 with a little bit of a different direction for Conquest. I've had some authors that I've kind of told about this. I spoke with Atlas Creed recently, and we've had some discussions about kind of what he's
We
seeing
had
on
him
his
on.
side. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I saw he was on
Yeah.
the podcast not that long ago. So I've chatted with him, and I think really what Conquest is going to move forward into 2026 is more of a consultancy basis. Not to say we won't like fully indie publish projects, they're just going to be few and far between. Um, what I really want to see Conquest do in 2026 is really provide a more customized publishing experience for authors. So I see a lot of times on Reddit, on threads, on all these platforms, people have written these books and they're like, "Whoa, I wrote a book. I don't know what the hell to do with it. Like where do I put this?"
Mhm.
And so you can
Yep.
pay a very comparable flat rate, send your manuscript in. I will have an acquisitions editor review it, provide an in-depth analysis, and then we will customize you a publishing plan to
That
say,
is such
you
a
know,
smart business model. Yeah.
Mhm.
it's a
Especially for
very thin
indies.
line. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
very thin line though, because you straddle that, well, are you hybrid? Like, are you like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Publishing consultants have been around. It's not a new theory, but
Yeah.
having an actual publisher do it, I think is a little bit different. Um, but again, I think it
Mhm.
comes down to, I'm not here expecting authors to service Conquest. I'm here as Conquest to service the author. So they will complete kind of a questionnaire of, what are you looking for with this book? Like, what do you want to do with it? It does take some time on their part to go and research, like, what are my options? It may be they have no clue what to do with it. And so what we will do is, based on the editor's feedback, pair them up with the contractors they need. So again, we've kind of been
Oh,
building
nice.
this contractor pool over the last 6 months,
Mhm.
designers, editors, formatters. And I would say, hey, you need a developmental editor. Here's 3 that I would recommend based on your theme, what you're looking to accomplish, and I guess, your technique at where it stands today. And here's their rates, which again, they are going to be set very low because, like you said, JV, I mean, it's $10,000 sometimes, depending on how many rounds of edits you go through and what you need a contract for, it's pricey. So we would establish and
Mhm.
provide them, those vetted contractors that are going to do well by them. They would
Nice.
also be provided a couple of cover artists with their portfolios that we would recommend for them. We would let them know, like, if you want to publish, make sure your developmental edits start this far out. Line edits, you will also need proofreading. If you need formatting, here's some options for you. Here's some great resources if you want to do that yourself. If you want to use Word, here's what you need to know. If you want to take a financial risk and purchase Affinity Publisher, here is a template for you to use.
May have to do
Um,
that.
yeah, yeah. Now, if they want to pay additional and be like, this is great, you've given me 75 things I need to do, I don't want to do any of it. I just want someone else to do that for me. Then I've already paired them with the contractor. You just let me know when you want to get started. Um, and then I think
Mhm.
distribution's a big thing that people just don't have a lot of visibility into. Um, I've done some kind of side hustle meetings recently with different wholesale distributors on kind of what's the difference in Ingram Spark and Ingram
Mhm.
Lightning Source, because again, they're very different. Um, if you want to set up wholesalers yourself as an indie author, here are some great vendors. Here's their rates. Here's what you can expect cost wise. Here's what it looks like as far as your relationship with them. If you want to do direct to consumer, like on TikTok Shop, here's what you need to know. So we would kind of set this
Mhm.
out and provide them kind of a publishing packet of things they need to know and what they need to look for and what questions they need to ask. So again, it may come down to it, or like, this is all great. I still want to publish with Conquest. That's fine. This is what you can expect going into that relationship. Um,
Yeah.
or if they want to do their own book cover, their own formatting, and they really just need help with distribution, here's you a great contact.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the author is going to have a more fulfilling outcome, hands down.
Mhm.
Whether that is coming into this indie relationship and finding out a book in like, I kind of wish I'd have done that myself. But now I'm here for a 3-year contract, and I don't want to deal with the ramifications of terming that. I'm just going to suffer through it. I don't want people to have to suffer through it. Um,
Mhm.
I want them to be happy, not only with their experience, but with the outcome of their product. Um,
Yeah.
Again, at the end of the day, it's an extension of them. So I want them to feel comfortable in that and getting behind the marketing and the promotion of that product because they have to be bought into that.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a great option for indie authors, right? Because a
Yeah.
lot of them,
Mhm.
it's interesting because you hear people when you tell them, I published a book and they want to know with whom, and then it's like, oh, I indie published. And
Yeah.
a lot of people still have this old notion that that means that it's not a good book,
Mhm.
that you
Yeah.
Yeah.
couldn't cut it in the trad world. And I never
Mhm.
even tried the trad route, because I knew my books, they were too big and they wouldn't
Yeah.
fit that mold. And two, I know there are a lot of people who just don't want to give up that creative control.
Mhm.
They don't want to ask for permission, right?
Yeah.
They want to write the stories they
Mhm.
want to write. Which a lot of the time when you're going indie, you're breaking a little bit of those
Mhm.
molds, that like the commercial molds, right? And I totally get why trad publishers do and get the manuscripts that they do and why they have to shape them this way because they have to make a profit on
Right.
this. They're taking a financial
Mhm.
risk and they need to make sales. And if there's a quote unquote guaranteed-ish way to do that, I mean, not really truly guaranteed, but a more likely way, then they're going to go that route all day, every day. It makes sense. It's a business decision.
Yeah.
But so for
Mhm.
indies, getting that input on, especially because I read Armitage, Atlas's
Yeah.
book, which I really enjoyed, but definitely I was like, well, what is it? Is it a paranormal urban fantasy?
Mhm.
Is it a
It's the
mystery?
first
Is
question
it
you
Yeah.
asked
what?
him.
How do you,
Yeah.
right? And so as an indie who breaks those rules, quote unquote,
Mhm.
sometimes they're struggling like, where do I fit? How do I even market this?
Yeah.
Right? How do I find my
Mhm.
readers?
Yeah.
So I think it's a great business model.
Yeah, I think you have to meet your readers where they're at. And
Yeah.
we have a couple of books
Mhm.
coming out in 2026, and I have one, and I know she'd be fine with me talking about it, but it's called We the Missing. It's by Arwen Sherman. She is predominantly like a horror writer, but this book is very centered on kind of horror. It's kind of a mix of fantasy. It's got some religious trauma kind of moved into it a little bit. There's a little bit of romance that's not the primary. And when she
Yeah.
when she pitched it to me, she's like, "Well, it's horror, but it's fantasy, but it's also contemporary." And I was like, "How how does that even work?" And so
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's like, "Well, it just does." And so that's how we're going to market it.
And it
You're
probably
going
does.
and it
Yeah.
does. It really
Yeah.
does. And
Yeah.
so, but the thing is, you have readers that want that. Um,
Yes.
I think
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
there was a book recently. Oh, God, it's going to drive me crazy. I can't think of what it was called, but it was like it's gonna drive me crazy. But I saw it first on my Kindle Unlimited, and I read a little bit of it, and I'm like, this is different. And then it showed up on my TikTok. It started with an F. It was like Fairyland or Fantasyland, or I
Mhm.
can't think of it. But anyways,
Mm.
it was very much like a horror, fantasy, historical, very kind of blended. She self-published that, and people love it. Like, there is
Mhm.
truly a reader for everything. You just have to
Yes.
find them, and you just have to meet them
Exactly.
where they're at.
Yes, which is the tough
And I
part.
think that
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that honestly, as a reader, like, I don't necessarily need to know what you fit
Yeah.
into. if it's a good story, like, I'm here for it. If we're all over the place and I'm like, "What even does this?" I find categories, they're so
Yes.
limiting to the author. Like, if you don't fit into this specific bucket, but you fit into all the buckets, there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. Like, if you're if you're all of the genres or all of the tropes or whatever, as long as I'm having a good time reading it, I honestly don't really need it to fall into, like, I just think that that limits authors and publishers
Yeah.
so
It
much.
does.
Like, it should just be, like, a big
I
bucket.
agree. It should
And
be.
you wrote a book, it goes into the
It
big
Yeah.
should.
bucket, and it could be
Yeah, but
anything
yeah.
because
It's literally just about
but
finding
I
the
get but,
people.
like, you walk into Indigo, like, I have an Indigo because I'm
Mhm.
Canadian, which is like a Barnes& and
Yeah.
Noble for you guys. I get you walk into an Indigo and you go, "I want young adult," so you go into the young adult section. It would be a little confusing if you're like, "I want a book. Cool, here's all
Mhm.
the books." You just find what you're looking for. They're all author organized or
Yeah.
something like that. That'd be I understand the point of category or categorizing, but I find it so
Yeah,
Yeah. It
limiting.
can be.
I agree. Yeah. It definitely, but yeah, I know why it's there, right? Because you need to find the readers because
Mhm.
there are so many books published every single day, and you
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
be able to market it to the right kind of so that you increase your chances of somebody actually picking it up and wanting to read it, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and things like Amazon that limit you to only a certain number of categories that you can place your book in.
Yes.
Um, and then sometimes even then it's like, no, actually we don't think that you fit that category, so we're going to put you in something else. Like, but that's not a category I selected. What are you doing?
This doesn't match.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
no, my book's not
Yeah.
a hockey romance just because the guy happens to play hockey. It's not a
Yeah.
center focal point of my book.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
actually a hockey romance.
Yeah. And I'm sure my authors,
Yeah.
again, they think I've lost my mind because I've got a couple of fantasy authors and they're like, hey, like, where do I need to stop? Like, at my word count. I'm like, you don't. They're like, well,
Oh,
what do you
not with
mean?
fantasy, you don't. You can
Oh,
Mm.
keep going.
well, she was like, I've had a couple, and Mel Moore was one of them, Melanie Moore, and she
Yeah.
was like,
Mhm.
so I don't have like a word limit. I'm like, no. And they're like, okay. And so I had one that reached back. She's like, I'm at 310,000 words. And I was like,
Oh, that's a bit much.
what have I done? But, however, she,
How does that even
well, so what we
like
did was, because to me, I want the story to mean something. I want the author to be
Yeah.
able to go in unhinged, write what they feel, what they need to convey, and then we can figure out what to do with it. So she came back and
Mhm.
she's like, okay, I'm at 300, I think it was like 316,000 or something. And I'm like, that's like a $50 book. So let's figure this out. So we ended up, and the reason it was so big is because she had an arc in there with just these two characters that it was kind of important to that book, but if you pulled it up, like if you cut it out, it would still stand by itself. Both of them would. So I
Mm.
was like, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take this arc for these two characters, put it in a novella, y- do the novella like a couple of months before the sequel as like a promotional piece,
Mhm.
and that cuts like at least 100,000 words out of this book. It's still a
That's
hefty
still a
fantasy.
novella? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we did some there's some editing, but it ended up being two novellas. So we do one novella a couple months before the sequel, and then the other kind of piece, like part two of the novella. And so that's what we did. So she was very happy with the way the book turned out. And then she also had these other two kind of smaller
Yeah.
stories. And then what we
Nice.
decided to do is in our special edition, it would all be one book.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you,
That's a chunky book.
she's chunky. Yeah. So
I mean,
it's,
it's crazy.
yeah, she's big. But again, it's a special order kind of thing. And not everybody's going to want to
Mhm.
order it. That's fine. But you have that option if you want it. So it gave
Yeah.
a little bit more options to your authors, and then it gave them the opportunity to kind of learn about these characters in smaller pieces And then when you
Yeah.
read the bigger book, you're like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I know why this happens. And you just understood them a little bit
Mhm.
better. So, like,
You're also leaving, like,
mm-hmm,
breadcrumbs to, like, a
yeah,
big release, right? Which is so smart. Instead of being like, "Here's a big book that's really
mm-hmm,
overwhelming, visually and
yep,
physically. Here are breadcrumbs to a book you guys are
yeah.
gonna
But
love."
again, it's about being cost effective. Like,
It's
you
so
don't want to
smart.
put a book out there that's going to be
True.
$30. In this market, nobody wants to spend
Mhm.
$30 on a book.
Well,
So,
your printing cost
Yep.
alone,
yeah,
right? I mean, so my books are like I don't know, what was the first one? 170 something thousand words. So let's say
mm-hmm,
half of that. And I still pay through Ingram just under $10 for printing a
yeah,
book.
yeah. And
So
then
twice that and then woof.
yeah. Well, and you got to take into account that
Yeah.
wholesale discount. And
Yes, yes, exactly.
so then take that into account. And then you've got to figure out some type of profit margin.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
Mhm.
so, yeah, enough to pay back a $10,000 editor. Um,
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
so that's why I'm
Never.
saying this is not a get rich quick industry.
No, it really isn't,
It's
especially
really not.
No.
now. It's really
No.
not. And that
Mm-mm.
might be a good thing, right? My husband tells me all the time, I'm like, man, just one, like, I would love to have one of my books just blow up. And he's like, yes, but a slow burn is more sustainable. It's just
Yeah.
more long term because
Mhm.
those books that blow up really bright, really fast also fizzle faster. He is
They
my
do.
rational counterpart.
Yeah. I love it.
Mhm.
'Cause-
Again,
Yeah.
I tell 'em
I've also adopted this mentality of the universe only gives you what you can handle at that
yeah,
moment.
it's true.
And, like, while I would love my shop to completely sell out and have thousands of orders, I can't maintain that. That's not something that I can maintain my prepping, shipping, and all the
I
times that
could
I promise to
maintain
deliver
going
on.
#1 on the bestseller list. No problem.
No, it's just like I've tried to absorb that mentality of just the universe gives you what you can handle in that
I
moment.
think that's true.
Maybe a month from now you can handle
Yeah.
more, and that's when things happen,
Yeah.
right? So,
It's true. Very true. And I tell my authors that all the time too. They always get like random words of wisdom from me, whether they ask for it or not. But I tell them all the time, it's like you can't go into a debut release with the mentality that you're going to sell hundreds of thousands of books. You
Yep.
have to you have to build
mhm,
up to that, just like anything else. You know, you don't come into a career out the gate making six figures. You know, like
Yeah.
you have to build the experience, you have to build the rapport with the people that are going to
mhm,
continuously buy your product. And,
Yep.
you know, I give examples like even Rebecca Yaros and even like Sarah J. Moss, when Court of Thorn and Roses blew up or when like Fourth Wing blew up, you know how many books they had in their
Oh,
backlist?
yeah. Many, many.
Many.
18 or
Yes, like
something?
Yeah.
tons of
Yeah,
books. And
Yeah.
so
mhm,
now their backlist is doing like phenomenal. But it's all
mhm,
because they continuously over years built a
Yep.
sustainable reader base. And
mhm,
it's just right place, right time. This industry is
Yeah.
very much right place,
yep,
right time. And
No, you're so right.
because Fourth Wing hit right place, right time with certain readers, TikTok just happened to pick it up. Um, she also had all these other readers that are like, oh my God, I read her book, da da da, 3 years ago. I know who
I
she is.
know.
It just builds
mhm,
momentum and it just
It
catapults from
does.
there. So
Yep.
I have to try to remind my authors all the time just because you're not selling out
That's
or
true.
making all these crazy like best-selling lists on your debut novel, it's okay. Like, did you have a
mhm,
handful of readers that read it and loved it? Yes. Perfect. That is
yep,
successful. Like you have built a connection with somebody that when book two, your second book comes out, whether it be sequel, standalone, those readers are going to immediately read it. And then you're going to have additional readers that build it and read it. And it's just going to keep building from there.
yep,
So just give it
Very
time.
true.
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Just pace yourself
totally.
and it will come. Just that's why you really have to love it.
Yeah.
You write it and you publish it because you truly at your core just love it.
Yep.
Yep.
100%.
And social media is so finicky
Mhm.
too because there's been so many books and I've been burnt so many times. Oh my God, this book is amazing. You have to read it. Everyone's reading it. And then I read it and I'm like, what is this crap? Like, why does everybody
Yeah.
like this? I don't understand. I've read 6 other books this month that are indie published that are 10 times better than
Yep.
this book. And it's just, it's
Mhm.
marketing, right? But it's also like catch, there's my cat. There's just like a fire that catches for these books. And I'm like, I wish that there was a way for us to like break it too, because A Court of Thorns and Roses, I haven't personally read it. I have my own gripes about it, but why is it still the only book you see on social
Mhm.
media? It's been like a year
Oh,
or
yeah, it's been
longer
longer than
that it's
that.
been like,
Yeah.
if you haven't read A Court of Thorns and Roses, are you really a reader? Bitch, I've read 65 books this year so far. Yes, I'm actually a reader, okay? I just haven't read that book. But it's just like figuring out how to like break the constant books that are being
Mhm.
pushed on social media too. Like as a content creator, and especially an indie supporter, I always go in with like, I don't want to recommend like big top books because there's so many other books out there written by indie
Yep.
authors that honestly are better, have more depth, have more emotion, aren't cookie
Mhm.
cutter. Because like a lot of the books now in trad is
Yeah.
just cookie cutter
Because it's
books.
safe. Yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's also
it
boring for the
is.
reader. It's like I've read this. It's like that audio where it's like the story you're about to hear has been told before many times. It's literally every freaking traditional published book.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, again, it's from a financial risk standpoint, it's safe, right? So if that
Makes
big
sense.
trad, if
And
the
they just
trad can go in and
yeah.
safely publish this book, if it does well, they're like on top of that. It great, risk was
Mhm.
worth the reward. We're going to continue to publish more from this author. If it doesn't do well, then their whales or their big
Mhm.
authors are going to offset the loss from that. And I can almost guarantee you that author that didn't do well is not going to get another contract. If they didn't sell to cover the expense or the return on that investment, you are more than likely can go ahead and bet your baby toe that they're not going to get another opportunity to publish again through that publisher. More than likely, their agent's going to cut their agreement because, again, they didn't get paid out for their time. And so it comes down
Yeah.
to a writing to writing for safety or writing to secure your place. And you can see even a lot of these, indie or self-published authors that have picked up traditional contracts, they'll even come back and tell you like, I'm not they're pushed then if they did well commercially to churn out
Mhm.
content very quickly. And sometimes you can't
Mhm.
write under that level of stress. You write because you're emotionally invested and it makes sense at the time for you to write that story. So when you're
Mhm.
forced to write a narrative that you don't emotionally connect with, you can't always do that. But it comes down to either write it or lose my contract. Some have
Yeah.
decided to, even though they're traditionally signed, to self-publish other books because it didn't fit what that publisher was trying to market, or publisher didn't want it, but it still meant something to
Yeah.
that author at that time. So it's just very interesting.
And you can't keep series yeah, you can't keep series going on
Right.
forever. Like, you can't have, like, I mean, I can't say that, but, like, I can't see Fourth Wing being 20 books long. Like, what are we even doing in the
6, I think,
20th
is what she
book?
said, right?
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying, like, publishing companies probably would like, "This is doing really well, so we're just gonna continue this for as long as we
Yeah.
possibly can," and even though she signed up for 6, they're like, "Guess what? If you wanna
Mhm.
continue, we need more books." And it's like, what are we doing in the 20th books? They're, like, 90 years old riding dragons? Like, what is
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay. As much as I don't want to, because this is such a fascinating conversation.
I
I know. I'm
know.
sorry. I get really
Yeah.
lengthy. I get really long-winded.
No, this is so I have
No.
a gazillion more questions, to be honest, but we've also already been on here for an hour and 46 minutes.
I know, and we give Kate and Jess a hard time.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So we probably, unfortunately, have to wind down.
Yes.
But Brittany, thank you so much for
Mhm.
coming on. This was so
Welcome.
insightful.
You're
What an
welcome.
incredible
Anytime.
conversation.
Yeah.
I hope we didn't scare you off. We might have to have you
No,
back.
not at all. Not at all. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you for being so
Yeah, of
Yeah.
accommodating
course.
too with like the power outage and all that stuff. It's so funny how JB just spun that
She
narrative. I
sure
just messaged her
did.
and I was like, I don't know how to tell you this, but my power's out. And she's like, I got this. I'm a writer. We're spinning
Yep.
this narrative. And literally everybody was like, it made me want to come on more because you guys are
We
so
made it to
funny
the
in your
dark
like
ages.
posts and your emails and stuff. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
so
you
Well,
funny.
she posted a picture of her cooking coffee on a camping stove. I'm like, I can
Yep.
work with this.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then
She's
I
just
made the
missing the
little
apron.
graphic. Yeah, I was like, you're churning
Yeah.
butter.
It was great.
It was so funny. It was so funny. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna do a little outro. I don't know if you watch Hot Ones at
Yes.
all, but they always throw the camera to the guest, so I do something similar. Um, okay. Brittany, this has been such an insightful and educational and just fun episode. It didn't go the direction I thought it would, but this is honestly
So
so
much
much
better.
better. I've learned so much as somebody who's not even in that world. JV, you've probably
Yeah,
learned
that
so
was
much as
so
somebody who is
insightful.
deep into that world. Yeah, but we have to say goodbye for today. But before we let you go, the mic is yours. Let the people know what you've got
And
going
where we
on in
can
your
find you.
life.
Yeah, so right now we are gearing up for 2026. So our 2026 launch schedule is actively in edits.
Nice.
We are pushing out cover releases, art distribution. Our content and our stories are just a little bit more on the darker side come 2026. So if you like your stories with a little trauma, a little shade, definitely check us out. We are more so heavily on Instagram and Twitter. But I do tend to give some internal monologue rants on Threads, so you can definitely find me there too. But yeah, check out our website. We do a lot of deals. Sign up for our newsletter. I tend to put out a lot of deals through that, so definitely check that out.
Awesome. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
And what's the website and your
Yes.
social
Yeah,
handles?
so website is just conquest-publishing.com. And then our handles are for Instagram, just believe it's Conquest Publishing, and then for Twitter, it's Published Conquest. So if you search either of those two words, you should be able to find us.
That's awesome. And before we let you go, I actually have to
Yeah.
tell you a really, really quick story. So you sent me the
Mm-hmm.
Courtesan's Eye. I was the only person in the world
Yes.
who had a physical copy. So I had one of Jess and Kate's friends reach out and was like, "You're the only person who has this book. Can you send me the measurements because I'm getting books specifically binded for them?" So Cree reached out to me and I sent her all the measurements. I was like, whatever you need, girl, let me know. And we had them on yesterday and I got
They're
to see those books. I
beautiful.
don't know if you've seen them. Oh my
Beautiful. Yes.
goodness. So because you sent me a physical book, I was able to send the measurements to a friend to make them something so special. So I just want to say thank
Of
you so
course.
much for honestly being like you're like I don't know. I didn't even understand when you were like you're the only person who has a book. I was like, what the fuck do you mean? What do you mean? Why me? And you just continuously support me and in everything. And I'm just, I'm so thankful for you and your generosity because like not only do I have the original one of a kind, literally one of a kind, I also have the hardcover with all the beautiful designs and you're so generous and thank you so much.
Of
I just want to say thank you
course.
personally.
Yes.
So
It was all for your authenticity. Like I said, I love the realness. I will support that any day, all day. So I love it. So keep on with what you're doing. It's much appreciated. It's very refreshing.
I need to
I agree with you.
yeah, I need to just find that balance of the hello, happy, good morning and
Yeah.
everything else. Cause I'm recording content all the time. Just for different things. So no, but I just wanted to say
Of
thank you
course.
so much because like even JB was the first person who ever reached out to me and was like, "Can I send you a book?" I was like, "What do you mean? Me?" send me a book physically in the mail from the United
Yep.
States. So
Hopefully
just
hers
like,
didn't wind up
yeah,
at the gas station,
it's
but
crazy. Oh my gosh, JV. Okay, so she sends me a book to my address, which she
yeah.
sent before multiple times. And so she messages me. She's like, "Hey, do you know what Hi-Ho gas station is?" And I was like, "What?"
What
No.
happened? And the book
Yes.
ended up there?
So mm, at the gas
Yeah.
station in Strathmore, which is 30 minutes away
How?
from me, for some I don't
I got a
know. My husband, he works.
I got a
Yeah, go ahead.
call. I was sitting at my dinner table, I'm sure doing like publishing stuff, and my phone, and I get a bunch of just random calls anyways because my cell phone is my business line. And it was a Canadian number, and I thought, well, telemarketers are getting, creative these days.
Crazy.
And they left a voicemail, thankfully. And I saw it said, book, shipment Canada, and I thought, I just shipped a book to Tyler a couple weeks ago. So I listened to the voicemail, and I'll be damned if it wasn't that shipment. And I went on Ingram, looked at my shipping information. Sure enough, they had like a little map, and it was sitting at some Hi-Ho gas station in some random off the wall Canadian town. And I sent Tyler a message. I'm like, "Do you know this place?" She's like,
Can you go pick
what?
up the book?
Yeah,
How did it even end up there? What in
Yeah.
the world?
I have no idea.
It said it tried to deliver at my local post office, and it said it was rejected. And I spoke to Mary because Mary's our local post office lady. She's like, I'd never seen anything. If it says Tyler, I know exactly where it's going because I get a lot of stuff. So they're like, if it says Tyler Dupuy on it, she's like, I know it's box 452. So if I would have seen that, I would have accepted it and
Yeah.
just put it in the box. She's like, it never even came across my desk. So, but it was so crazy. And I was like, honey, I have a very random question for you. Can you stop off at Hi-Ho gas station? Which can we just admit that's the most Canadian name
Hi-ho.
for a gas station ever? Hi-Ho gas station. And I was like, can you just stop by and see if there's a package? And he's like, sure. And sure enough, he came home with a package. And I was like,
So,
Crazy.
Brittany, was it the
That
gas
was-
station that called you?
It was the
it was
gas
at a gas
station.
station.
They're like, you got a package. What? Yeah, it's the gas station. Yeah.
At least they
First
called
of all,
and
I
then
don't
just
even
throw it
understand
away.
how.
That was kind.
Yeah.
No.
That was kind.
Yeah. It was very kind. It was just very confusing because I was like, first of all, it wasn't even a place that accepts mail.
Just the
Just a gas
They're like,
station.
"Here you
I got the book.
Maybe it was the truck. The
Oh,
delivery driver
gosh.
was just like, I'm done. I want to go home.
I'm sure.
He's like, I gotta fill up. I'm gonna drop off. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Oh my God.
So it's the book that made it around the world.
So random. Yeah.
Hi-ho.
Literally went to so
Gas
many
station.
places. Hi-Ho gas
That is
station.
fantastic.
I still have never been. I'm gonna have to stop by
Yeah,
one day.
just take a
just
picture
to
and send
see
it to
what
Brittany.
it is.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Be like, this is where it went.
It's probably like run down, like fire marks on the
Yep.
sign. I can only imagine. Okay, perfect. But we will let you go for
Okay.
real. This is exactly what happened with Kate and Jess yesterday. But
You're
thank you so much
welcome.
for coming on. Like JV said, we would love to
would.
have you
Sure.
back
Yes.
on. Love to hear about your 2026 and the direction for Conquest because that is super
Yeah.
interesting. And I am sure, JV, if you have questions, you could probably
yeah.
just message her and she'll get back in a timely, not a timely manner, but when
Yeah.
she is
Yeah,
available.
send me a message.
Because I know you're definitely in this world, and I want nothing but success for you as your bestie. I want nothing but success.
Mhm.
I want nothing but sex for you.
Got it.
You know.
Hi-ho.
I'm signing off. Tyler's signing off of this podcast.
Oh, sweet mercy.
All right.
Thank you so much,
All right.
Brittany.
Have a
You're
good one,
welcome.
Brittany.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Bye.